MTC. Q start 1 number 1. When I made my debut at the Metropolitan Opera, I had a temperature of 103 degrees, white as a sheet with the flu, but I didn't even care. 103. I was just so happy to be there. Nothing was going to keep me from singing. When I walked out for my first entrance, the place exploded into applause. The people had been waiting for me. I was filled with joy, happiness, and gratitude, and you sing your heart out. They had a special party afterwards just for me, and my debut. It was the start of a long and mutually beneficial relationship with a company at which I had always dreamed of singing and finally did. All the friends from childhood who said they'd tome when I sang at the Met did. My parents and family members were there to witness my success, and I was extremely excited. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q start 1 number 2. Mozart, one of the best-known composers, made enough money to live a good life. Mozart. However, he was not smart enough to manage his income, and he died a poor man. Yet most average people manage their finances well. Albert Einstein was a poor communicator and had difficulty in articulating his thoughts, despite his profoundly superb intelligence. Albert Einstein. Thus, we see that when a person enjoys an unusual amount of intelligence or talent in one field, it is usually confined to that particular field. Thus, not only are all humans not equally intelligent, but those who are truly intelligent are also not equally as intelligent in every field. Examples such as Leonardo da Vinci, who enjoyed talent in many different fields, are very rare exceptions to the rule. Leonardo da Vinci. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q start 1 number 3. Hugh John Lofting was born in England to an Irish father and an English mother. Hugh John Lofting. Hugh was an imaginative child and loved to create stories to tell his brothers and sisters. Hug. He also loved animals and had many pets as a child. Hugh's concern for animals led to the creation of Dr. Dolittle. Hug. Dr. Dolittle began as a cheerful, charming doctor who became more serious as his adventures continued. This was perhaps a parallel to Hugh's life. Hug. His adulthood was marked with several sorrows. His first wife died in 1927, only 4 years after his great success in winning the Newbery Medal. Newbery Medal 41927. He got remarried, but his second wife died less than a year later. In the 27 years that followed the publication of his first Dr. Dolittle book, Hugh wrote 13 other books about the kindly doctor, as well as a number of other books for children. 27, Hug 13. The Dr. Dolittle stories are still some of the best loved of all time. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q start 1 number 4. Within the first year or two of life, as infants start to differentiate themselves from the rest of the world, the self begins to develop. 1, 2. Babies, then toddlers, then children devote enormous energy to understanding who they are. They actively seek to define themselves and to become competent in the identities they claim. At early ages, girls and boys start working to become competent females and males, respectively. They scan the environment, find models of females and males, and imitate and refine their performances of gender. In like manner, children figure out what it takes to be smart, strong, attractive, and responsible, and they work to become competent in each area. Throughout our lives, we continue the process of defining and presenting our identities. Struggling to be a swimmer at age 4 gives way to striving to be popular in high school and being a successful professional and parent in adult life. 4. The fact that we continuously evolve is evidence of our capacity for self-renewal and continual growth. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q start 1 number 5. Although child prodigies are often rich in both talent and ambition, what holds them back from moving the world forward is that they don't learn to be original. As they perform in Carnegie Hall, win the Science Olympics, and become chess champions, something tragic happens. Practice makes perfect, but it doesn't make new. The gifted learn to play magnificent Mozart melodies and beautiful Beethoven symphonies, but never compose their own scores. They focus their energy on consuming existing scientific knowledge, not producing new insights. They conform to the codified rules of established games, rather than inventing their own rules or their own games. All along the way, they strive to earn the approval of their parents and the admiration of their teachers. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q start 1 number 6. Not doing things in good time is one of the most common reasons that students fail in higher education. One of the common explanations given by students for not completing required coursework is "I did not feel like reading that chapter last night. I just did not have the energy." Students often perceive a textbook as a huge, insurmountable obstacle that sits on their desk softly whispering their name just to make them feel guilty every time they walk past it. The solution to this is to remember that off-putting book is made up of smaller bits. You may even find some of those passages interesting. Just do a few pages at a time and read the introduction. Break the big, fat, terrible book down into sections that you feel are more manageable and read through one at a time. Who knows, you may even like the stuff they talk about in there. You could become hooked and love it. You'll never know until you start, though. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q start 1 number 7. You might expect that because humans are well equipped to think, they would love to think and would spend all their free time doing it. This is certainly not the case. If all thinking were fun, people would probably spend much of their free time doing math problems, but they don't. Researchers have found that often people seem lazy or careless about their thinking. Social psychologists use the term cognitive miser to describe people's reluctance to do much extra thinking. Just as a miser tries to avoid spending money, the cognitive miser tries to avoid thinking too hard or too much. Of course, this isn't entirely a matter of laziness. People's capacity to think is limited, and so people must conserve their thinking. There is much evidence that when people's capacity for thinking is already preoccupied, they take even more shortcuts to reduce further need for thought. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q start 1 number 8. Psychologists who study giving behavior have noticed that some people give substantial amounts to 1 or 2 charities, while others give small amounts to many charities. Those who donate to 1 or 2 charities seek evidence about what the charity is doing and whether it is really having a positive impact. If the evidence indicates that the charity is really helping others, they make a substantial donation. Those who give small amounts to many charities are not so interested in whether what they are doing helps others. Psychologists call them warm glow givers. Knowing that they are giving makes them feel good, regardless of the impact of their donation. In many cases the donation is so small, $10 or less, that if they stop to think, they would realize that the cost of processing the donation is likely to exceed any benefit it brings to the charity. 10. MTC. Good job.